I felt like this was made for me, a movie named Pixels, you know, and my channel having this whole 8-bit theme going on. I bet the storyboard guys were all like, so, we have an idea. It's an alien invasion movie. Yeah, go on. I'm liking the sound of this. Listen. They're 8-bit video game aliens starring Adam Sandler. Okay, so Pixels. So Pixels follows the story of former video game world champion Sam Brenner, who back in the 80s used to rule the arcades, but now 30 plus years later discovers his talents are no good. But during the championship he competed as a kid, NASA sends up a capsule into space containing all sorts of classic video games, which later gets retrieved by aliens. The aliens find it as some sort of threat, causing them to invade Earth, disguising themselves as these old school games. Now in desperate attempt to stop them, Sam Brenner along with other video game champions are hired to save the world from these alien invaders. Now Pixels I wasn't too sure about when seeing the trailers because of mainly two things. For one, Adam Sandler starring and writing this movie. Lately he has been so shitty where I was like, this guy has lost his touch. He used to be so good, he must have like hit his head on something, or better yet, Adam Sandler, the real one, was captured by aliens and we are given this new Adam Sandler who just gives us shitty movies. Sort of like the George Lucas treatment. And also the trailers didn't really intrigue me, but I had hope because I have seen movies where they just had shitty trailers, but they ended up being really good movies. But I am proud to say that Pixels really sucked. And it sucked hard. First off, you have Adam Sandler as the lead, and just like most of his recent stuff, he gives this boring, generic character. I'm dead ass serious, this guy is basically romantic comedy Adam Sandler who has love issues, his life is going in a downward spiral, he just can't get his life together. He seriously meets up with a woman in the beginning of the movie where they forcefully discuss their love issues. I'm like, they're gonna get together, are they? Yep, they do. And it really goes into this Adam Sandler-ish movie. He brings his romantic comedy stuff into a video game movie. And you got Kevin James, which absolutely scares me. He is the president of the United States. Did you hear me correctly? That is what he is in this movie. Usually movies gives us these awesome presidents where we're like, America, fuck yeah, but this guy seriously can't read a book. How he becomes president, I don't know. I will never know. That is beyond me. Josh Gad is in this movie. He's one of those goddammit characters who annoyed the shit out of you. And the most hurtful part of Pixels was Peter Dinklage, which we've all seen him in Game of Thrones and X-Men Days of Future Past, proven to us he is one of the best actors in the business. What happened? His character was all over the place. Has he gotten the George Lucas treatment too? Oh god, the horror. Not even Peter Dinklage could save this movie since there was nothing to his character that could bring it up. I sort of expected that from the characters, but when you actually see it on screen, it is a lot worse than you think. And the sad part is that's not even the thing that infuriated me the most in this movie. There were massive pacing issues and random tone shifts that about 90% of the time did not flow too well. Whenever it becomes this comedy or even a romantic comedy, you see this sudden shift to this action adventure in like 0.3 seconds. And even during the action scenes, it shows off some of the comedy that was straight up not fucking funny. And whenever they do try to be funny, they just try to extend the joke and it just becomes really awkward. Most of that came from Josh Gad because there's this one scene where he's talking to a group of soldiers and he's talking to them like he's the sergeant from Full Metal Jacket. He's just going off on them and then suddenly he backs away from them and then wants to touch them and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, can you tell I'm a huge fan of the comedy? Because I'm really not. Plus during those action scenes there was really no tension because these characters weren't really in danger. Since the aliens are classic video games, they figure, oh, they all follow the same pattern as the video games we used to play, so we'll defeat them that way. And they do, and everything is all fine and dandy, and not too much is lost. I do like the fact they bring up some of these classic games like Pac-Man have this pattern where you can follow to get an extremely high score. The beginning, they bring that up, and it was cool to see that they pay respects to the classics. Because me, being a straight-up nerd adoring games like these, there were plenty of times where I was like, holy shit, that's Paperboy and Joust, which they later shower us with a bunch of bullshit. And the actual look of video game characters looked cool in 3D. I saw it in 3D and I thought it looked pretty decent. Just the whole thing with them touching shit and turning into blocks, I thought it was a pretty cool thing to see. But that's really the only things I liked about the movie. It's one of those moments where the more I think about it, I think I'm gonna snap. Cause in the end, Pixels was just another Adam Sandler romantic comedy slash action adventure that failed on so many levels. It had weak and generic characters and had some of the weirdest tone shifts that just made it a fucking mess. Not as bad as the bad boys scene from Terminator Genesis, but maybe close. I advise you to never see this movie because I say if you're a video game nerd who loves the 80s classics, wait till the Netflix release, but if you're not, you'll find it to be an abomination to cinema. This may be the worst of July so far. If you're one of those people who hated Terminator Genisys, just wait till you see this. I mean, if you're not a fan of the video game classics, then why bother? Okay, so Pixels, have you seen it and what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below. And as always, there's a link for my Twitter and my Facebook below as well. Keep in contact with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But in the meantime, I have to get going to stop Adam Sandler now.